traps of thoughts ensnare. Every joke a blade prepared cuts through lies with humor flair. Unseen wisdom few can bear.
Heyo! Oh! Okay. Hey, folks. I had a bit of a rush getting here. I forgot to bring the coffee, and I need coffee today. Hello, folks. Hello, folks. So sorry for my slightly panicked thingy. Yeah. Hello, let's talk. Hello, the Mithril. Hello, Gregory. Hello, Jenny. Wednesday. Gigi is here. Hi, Gigi. Gwendolyn. Denise. And you and hello, you over at Rumble. Hello, you at YouTube. Hello, you at X. Hello, everybody. Let's get the standard things out of the way. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, by now you should know the drill, okay? By now you should know this, but apparently I'm supposed to say that, and it helps somehow. So we are getting ourselves into depositions. Depositions in the CNN defamation trial. Now, we all know the trial is over. The trial ended Friday with CNN losing. Loser! They lost on damages and compensation. Combined $5 million to Zachary Young in lost income and damages, and the jury sat for the punitive damages. Those are the damages the jury says, hey, CNN, we just awarded Zachary Young. Now we need to tell you guys to not defame people. Let's see how much money we are supposed to punish you as a company with. And we don't know because they settled. CNN settled for an undisclosed amount of money. And we will probably never find out because all the NDAs, all the things. Now, here's something people who are on my YouTube page knows. I've been talking to Zachary Young's attorney behind the scenes and Mr. Friedman. And we are we agreed that we will talk either in a recording or live, but we don't know the day and time. So we are on that part of that agreement. So yes, we will have an appearance in the very, very near future of Val Friedman, Zachary Young's attorney. I'm so excited about that. I am so excited about that. All right. Let's go. Let's see. So yes, this is the depositions because these people did not testify in court, but it was still entered as evidence. I either never got to them during the streams because I was catching up, or it is actually the depositions. We will see when we get there, but the first one is this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. But he has a microphone haircut. That's about it. I don't know who he is. All right, let's see what he has to say for us. I wonder who he is.
State your full name and date of birth for the record.
Full name, Michael Thomas Conte. Date of birth, 8/17/19.
How do you spell that last name? Because I think I might accidentally rephrase that last name. What was his name again? Michael.
State your full name and date of birth for the record.
Full name, Michael Thomas Conte. Date of birth, 8/17/1990.
Okay. With an
So
O,
do you understand
not a
that you're
U.
under oath here today, sworn to tell the truth?
Sure do.
You understand that this examination is being recorded?
Sure do.
And you understand that that means that at some point, this video could be shown to a judge or a jury at a trial?
That's why I dressed up nice.
And do you prepare for today's deposition with counsel?
Yes.
When did you do that?
Yesterday.
For about how long?
Most of the day.
And what is your title right now at CNN?
Producer 2.
You say producer 2?
Yeah, there is, yes.
Is that like the number 2 or?
Yes.
Okay. Has that been your title the whole time at CNN?
Yes.
And what are your roles and responsibilities as, well, let me back up. What does the 2 signify in producer 2?
It's just an internal structure thing. It's one level above producer 1.
And what are your roles and responsibilities as a producer 2?
I work for it's called the National Security Team at CNN. So primarily I'm producing pieces called packages for the people, the correspondents on that team.
And what does producing packages entail?
Means I work with the correspondents on the script. I help them gather the elements. I may deal with logistic things like booking and filming interviews, things like that, and then working with the video editor to turn that into a TV piece.
I'm just going to ask the question again, which is, do you think Mr. Tapper's lead-in accurately summarized what the story is about?
I think so, yes.
Sure. Do you view the banner at the bottom as having any relationship to the graphic at the top?
The banner at the bottom is about the overall story. The graphic at the top is one part of that story.
In your view, was Zachary Young operating in a black market?
I think it depends on how you define black market.
How do you define it?
I think of it as a market where participants are, trying to hide some aspect of their involvement in the market.
Where do you draw that understanding from?
That's so general a question. I don't know if I can answer it specifically.
Does a black market mean an illegal market?
Not necessarily.
So how do you know that Zachary Young was exploiting anybody?
Yeah, there we go again with this absolute horse manure argument that black market means not regulated and that it is unregulated. Folks, again, I said this last week, I'm telling you again, not regulated is a gray market because it's uncertain if it is legal or not. Once it gets to the phrase black market, that means illegal. So this is something they all probably agreed on with their attorneys before they sat for depositions, before they testified at trial, It's so obvious. And it's so bad.
I don't think that we're saying in this piece that Zachary Young is exploiting people. I'm saying that I believe, as I understand it, the piece is saying that prices in the range that he was charging, we're quoting other people saying, those kinds of prices are exploitative.
What's the difference between reporting that and reporting that Zachary Young was exploiting people?
I think I don't know whether or not people were actually paying those prices. And, like I said, we're quoting others who are characterizing those prices that way.
Was CNN reporting that Zachary Young was attempting to exploit people?
We are reporting that other people are saying that those prices are exploitative.
Is anyone else identified by name in this video segment as providing evacuation services?
Not that I recall.
So I paused the video here at like 3 minutes and 8 seconds. And there's a photograph on the screen. Do you understand that to be Zachary Young?
I understand that to be Zachary Young.
Do you think he has a punchable face?
Yeah.
So why do you think that?
Probably the smirk and the sunglasses.
What does it mean for somebody to have a punchable face?
Aren't you supposed to be neutral towards the news, Mr. Conte? Or is it, you also decided you didn't like Zach, you didn't care about that he did was legal, that he actually saved Afghans, you as well were there to nail him to the cross. Isn't that true, Mr. Conte? I must remember, I can't say Conte with a U, because then it would be a word that would get this stream demonetized. But I really, really want to.
To me, it means someone they look like I wouldn't want to hang out with.
Does it mean you want to hurt them?
No.
Does it mean that you think you wouldn't like them?
It means that I wouldn't want to spend time around them to find out. Unless I had to.
In terms of the way black market is being used in this piece or in this banner, do you think it has a negative connotation?
Potentially, but I can't say for certain.
What would you need to determine it?
What would I need to say whether it has that connotation to get into the brains of every single person watching this? I can't say for certain whether someone might see that as a negative necessarily.
Do you see it as a negative?
Do I see what is a negative exactly?
The black market for Afghanistan evacuations.
Potentially.
What does it depend upon?
I think it depends on the details of what's going on in that market. Like I said, to me, black market doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation in and of itself.
What about a black market in which Afghans are being exploited and charged exorbitant fees?
Could be, yeah.
So I paused it here at about 3 minutes, 36 seconds. And did you hear where the voiceover just said, we tried to call Young, but he didn't pick up?
Yes.
Were you involved at all in the video, the creation of this video of Mr. Marquardt here?
Yes.
What was your involvement?
I produced that shoot. So I booked the photojournalist who filmed it. I made sure that he was getting the video that we needed to produce the piece.
So are you there off camera when this was being filmed?
Yes.
I'm going to introduce what we'll mark as Exhibit 2. Which is the video that was produced as CNN 000090.
And before we go, a correction. In November, we ran a story about Afghans desperate to flee the country who face paying high sums beyond the reach of average Afghans. The story included a lead-in and banner throughout the story that referenced a black market. The use of the term black market in the story was an error. The story included reporting on Zachary Young, a private operator who had been contacted by family members of Afghans trying to flee the country. We did not intend to suggest that Mr. Young participated in a black market. We regret the error, and to Mr. Young, we apologize. Tune in to CNN Sunday for a 2-hour edition of State of the Union. My colleague.
Do you agree with it?
Not necessarily.
So in what ways do you not agree with it?
I don't know necessarily if it was an error that the term black market was used.
So let's just do this. Mr. Conte, I believe you testified that you're not sure the use of the term black market was an error. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What would you need to be sure?
Oh, this is when journalists and producers and they are not used. They are used to being this circle jerk, patting themselves on the back all the time in their closed quarters at the CNN. They are not used to being challenged. This is why this gets so bad all the time with the CNN employees and the CNN reporters. Because he actually thought that was the end of that. Next question, please. But no. No, bucko. It wasn't.
There's so much potential information that could change my judgment of that. I can just tell you that based on the facts of the story as I know them, I do not know if it was necessarily an error.
Does that mean based on the facts as you understand them, you don't think it was an error?
I don't necessarily know.
Is that different from, is not necessarily thinking it different from not thinking it?
I do not believe it was an error.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce what we'll mark as Exhibit 3. It's the document with the date stamp CNN 000095. And the date on it is November 1, 2021.
Yes.
So it starts where Michael Callahan sends you an email with the subject Alex package. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so Mr. Callahan wrote, "Can you work with Alex on this?" Right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, what was he asking you to do?
Produce this piece with Alex.
And then, towards the bottom of the email, there's a paragraph that starts extortion of desperate Afghans. You see that?
I do see that.
And then there's a little summary behind that.
Yes.
Right? And so the summary starts out with, in bold letters, extortion of desperate Afghans, correct?
Correct.
What do you understand extortion to mean?
I understand extortion to mean forcing someone to pay for something that they don't have a choice in.
Is that a bad thing to do?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Conte. I was going to ask you, but so, well, in that case, we'll leave the exhibit marked as is, but we'll focus instead just on pages 666 to 667. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are these Slack messages between you and somebody named Ellie Kaufman?
Yes.
And they're dated November 3rd, 2021?
They sure are.
Who is Ellie Kaufman?
She was a producer at the Pentagon.
You see on page 667, Ms. Kaufman asks, what's today's shoot?
Yes.
If we go down a little bit, it looks like you responded, today it's Alex's story about the shadow market of people extorting Afghans to get them out of the country.
Yes.
What did you mean by people extorting Afghans?
I don't recall exactly. I think I was just generally talking about the story that we were working on.
Do you know whether the script at this point identified Zachary Young?
I don't even remember if there was a script at this point.
What did you mean when you wrote shadow market?
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. Like I said, I think I was just talking about generally the market we were talking about in the story.
But on November 3rd, you wrote that the story was about the shadow market of people extorting Afghans, right?
Yes.
So at that point, that's what the story was about, correct?
Generally speaking, yes. These are colleagues discussing a story. This is not language that we are broadcasting on CNN that has been vetted and approved.
Did the story ever stop, generally speaking? Did the story ever stop being about the shadow market of people extorting Afghans, generally speaking?
I believe I answered that question already. We did not use, I do not recall us using those words in the final script of the story.
Is that still what the script was about, though, generally speaking?
I am certainly not going to say that a story that we did on CNN is about anything other than the reporting we did in that story. That's how reporting works.
And I mean, I can't believe he actually believes that's a reasonable answer. We all saw the segment. The entire, what was it, 4.5, 5 minutes. And they tried to gaslight us into saying, no, first we had the story about this black market thingy, and then that segment stopped blank, just stopped. And then here's Zachary Young. Full stop. And some more about the black market human trafficking thingy. But it is one continuous segment, but they actually tried to convince us there are different segments. It's so stupid.
So I'm going to introduce what we'll mark as Exhibit 11, and it's the document beginning CNN 000686. And it ends at 689. Are these Slack messages between you and Mr. Markart?
Yep.
And they're dated November 11th, 2021?
Yes, they are.
And then I guess on the next page, a little bit down, you say, what a punchable face?
Mm-hmm.
And you're referring to Mr. Young there, right?
To the photo that I saw of him, I believe.
Do you think Mr. Markart agreed that Mr. Young had a punchable face?
He said, right, question mark. I don't know whether that means he agreed or was just humoring me.
Did you think Mr. Markart was emotionally invested in this story?
I think he wanted to tell a good story and do a good job telling this story.
You think he wanted to nail Zachary Young?
I don't know.
Oh,
Did you want to nail Zachary Young?
Oh, I don't really care about your answer. That I'm not a body language guy, but I've been doing law for over 30 years. I've had negotiations, mitigations. I have had people in front of me trying to gaslight me, just like this guy. So I would say he would say no, but his entire body and face expression tells me, yeah, I wanna to.
No.
Of course he said no.
Wanted to tell the story.
Do people at CNN frequently refer to the subjects of stories as motherfuckers?
I can't speak for all of CNN.
I'm just asking if it's something you hear a lot at work.
I hear a lot of profanity at work.
Is it usually directed at the subjects of stories?
Sometimes, not always.
Have you ever heard the subject of a story referred to as a motherfucker?
I can't recall.
What about shitbag?
I can't recall.
What about a-hole?
I can't recall.
Would you ever refer to the subject of a story as a motherfucker?
I don't know.
Why don't you know?
Because I can imagine scenarios where I would joke around like that, but I can't say whether or not that's ever, crossed my mind or not.
So you don't remember having ever referred to a subject of a story that way?
He makes these nonsensical answers as if move on, move along. But no, this is a deposition. We are moving along in the way the attorney says to move along. Oh, this is so fun to see.
I can't recall. I've worked on a lot of stories.
So if a reporter is talking about nailing a motherfucker, what would you think they meant?
Oh boy, does that depend on the context.
Yeah, so you don't know whether Mr. Young's costs were competitively sensitive information. So you just like to.
Now, if you wonder why in this deposition there seems to be cuts, it's because there is. In depositions, you get all the questions, all the answers. The counterpart can object, and objection, relevance, the usual. And then they decide, okay, what will be kept in, what will be kept out. So that is why you see all of these cuts. Usually, you never hear the objection. That part is cut out. In the dep we heard, you're also in a deposition of Mr. Oh, I forget his name. Mr. Depp's prior lawyer / PR guy. In that deposition, we heard the objection part, but usually this is how it's shown with the cuts before the objection. And that is supposedly to avoid any prejudice in front of the jury. And usually it's both parties agree on it, or if they can't, then a judge steps in and says, yeah, that's in, that's out. So that is why it seems choppy at moments.
Well, I don't know whether or not they were.
Okay. So if it was competitively sensitive information, wouldn't that be a reason he wouldn't want to talk about it with a CNN reporter?
It's interesting. We wouldn't know because he didn't. I don't believe he told us that.
So how can you conclude that he was being shady if you don't even know whether there was a legitimate reason for keeping it confidential?
He wouldn't tell us.
Right. So, but I mean, is someone shady if they don't want to tell CNN competitively sensitive information?
He didn't, to my knowledge, tell us it was competitively sensitive information.
You obligated to?
Not obligated to say anything to us.
Is anyone who won't talk to CNN shady?
Not everyone, no.
So why was Mr. Young?
How about this, you asshat? Mr. Zachary Young's work was extremely sensitive. If information got out on how he worked, with who he worked, when he worked, that could be used by the Taliban to kill people. Of course he can't tell. Jesus Christ, these bad words are so ignorant. It is you so selfish. They really don't care about the safety of the Afghans. They really don't. They don't care. They care about the story, and then they move on. And I said this during the trial on several occasions, that because I believe this is not just about Zachary Young. How it is, once they aired this story, how many people who worked with, like Mr. Young, with corporations and such, decided to, oh no, this is getting too much risk. And they stopped extracting Afghans. So I will ask you folks, how many Afghans was killed due to CNN's reporting on this? Dozens? Hundreds? More? Don't know. But I can, with a certain degree of certainty, say that, yeah, it cost lives when CNN does this kind of reporting.
Shady.
I didn't characterize him as shady myself. In Alex's characterization here, it's based on the fact that we were asking him questions and he was either not answering them or getting back to us with incomplete information.
Are you saying you disagree and don't think it was shady?
No.
You do think it was shady?
Certainly. Looks shady.
Just because he doesn't want to answer questions from CNN?
He answered some of our questions, not all, and for a while was refusing to answer. That pattern certainly doesn't look like he's interested in being especially transparent with our questions.
Do you think CNN has the ability to influence or inform public opinions?
I think we possibly can influence public opinion, yes.
Do you think CNN needs to be responsible about that influence?
Absolutely.
Did you expect this story to have an effect on Mr. Young once it aired?
I have no idea.
So, I mean, having
That's an even worse answer because I have no idea. I interpret it as I don't care.
watched the story today, I mean, is it reasonable to think that it would have some effect on Mr. Young?
Maybe, I don't know.
Do you ever consider the possibility it might hurt his business?
It potentially might. I don't know.
All right, that was Mr. Conte. That was Mr. Conte. Let's move right over to the next one.
Your Honor, plaintiff's next call, Matthew Phillips. There is one housekeeping issue, which there's a document that we used Mr. Phillips to admit. The foundation is laid in the deposition. We can have a limited publication of that, so you can make sure the foundation is laid, or if they object to it coming in through Mr. Phillips.
For purposes of this trial, what's the exhibit marked?
161, Your Honor. And the foundation is laid at page 124, going through 125.
Let's skip ahead to Mr. Phillips.
Matthew Allen Phillips.
Matthew Allen Phillips. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see how he makes an ass of himself.
February 16, 1979.
Do you understand that you're under oath and you've sworn to tell the truth?
Yes.
Did you prepare for this deposition?
This is compare how they speak in this deposition and how the witnesses in the trial spoke, because somehow they don't believe this. Many people in depositions don't really get that this might be played in court. So they behave different than they would in actual trial setting. And I'm not here giving legal advice. I'm just saying treat it as if you were in front of a jury. If you ever are deposed, treat it exactly as if you were in front of a jury.
With CNN's counsel?
Yes.
For how long?
A few hours.
And where are you currently employed?
In the CNN Washington Bureau.
What's your title there?
I'm an assistant managing editor.
How long have you been employed at CNN?
Since 2018.
At your current position, what are your responsibilities as an assistant management editor?
I run enterprise reporting out of the DC Bureau. I work for the news gathering side of the Bureau. So I work with a variety of reporters on a variety of stories, ranging in timelines and subject matter, including national security, justice, sometimes ranging into politics and coverage of the White House.
Do your responsibilities also include fact checking?
They have in the past. I used to run a fact checking operation.
What years were you running the fact checking operation?
I would say from 2019 until 2022, 2021.
Is fact checking important to journalism?
Yes.
What?
Well, a basic tenet of journalism is to report accurately facts to the public.
In your opinion, should all stories be fact-checked?
In my opinion, all stories should be ensured to be accurate.
Mr. Phillips, have you seen this story before?
Yes.
Could you walk me through your involvement with this story?
My involvement in the story was very limited. I was present.
Let's see here. Let me thrill. Well, is it this one? The Gawker guy from the Hogan trial certainly didn't realize it might get back. No, definitely. Didn't get more lawsuit out of this case? Not from Zachary Young, I would believe, because he was the main character in that story. The other people are hidden. Now, other lawsuits because of this, yeah, if there are other similar hit pieces from CNN, they can look at this, see how they acted with their lawsuit against CNN, and try to copy paste it into their own. That they can do. That they might do. And hopefully people who were subject of hit pieces like this, who got their lives ruined, hopefully, if they have the funds and means and facts on their side, contact a lawyer.
For a preliminary conversation weeks before it was published, in which it was essentially a pitch meeting. It then came back to my attention, as I recall, a couple hours before the television piece was set to air.
Who was present at this pitch meeting?
As I recall, it was myself, Michael Callahan, Adam Levine, and Alex Marquardt.
Who was responsible for the initial pitch?
As I recall, Alex Marquardt brought this to our attention.
Did you have any role in producing this video?
No.
Did you see any portion of this video before it aired?
No.
Did you review the script for this video?
No.
Did you review any of the graphics or banners or text or chyrons for this video?
No.
All right, Mr. Phillips, do you recognize this message?
I see that it's from me.
Do you recall pitching this story to Adam Levine and Christy Parsons?
I really have no specific memory of this. It was so long ago, but yes, I do see that this.
It's at the moment of this trial, it was, what was it? 3 years. 3 years, Mr. Phillips. You just testified you had nothing, more or less had nothing to do with this story. Boom! Here's information that you were highly involved in this story. I mean,
This is a message from me in a chain that includes Adam and Christy.
A summary here. Did you write that yourself?
oh, he wrote a summary of the story, but he had nothing to do with the story?
I don't think so. I think this is language that, again, I'm trying to remember as best I can, but I'm guessing this is language that I'm taking from the original pitch that Alex wrote and likely distilling it into a pitch.
Oh. Swedish lesson of the day. We have proverbs that rarely are seen anywhere else in the world. As in this, Malin here is Swedish. She is referring to him saying something that turned out to not be true. And that a direct translation is, oh, he took a crap in the blue cupboard. Welcome to the Swedish lesson of the day.
For consideration for the group.
So you're saying Alex wrote this pitch, right?
Well, the original pitch was Alex's writing. What I think I'm doing here is taking that and boiling it down using the same language.
So the phrase used here, do you see where it says he would interview an Afghan in the U.S. trying to get his family out, talk to others who are also trying to leave/work in the shadowy black market, and attempt to contact some of the profiteers alleging to do the extractions, examine to what extent this is extortion of fraud. Do you see that?
Yes.
The phrase shadowy black market, was that your phrase or Alex's?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
The word extortion, was that your word or Alex's?
I don't recall.
So the term black market was included in this pitch message and then was used in the video. Is that correct? Both on the Chiron and in Maliden?
Those are accurate statements.
So you pitched a story about black markets?
No.
Oh, really?
Oh, you used the term black market in this pitch message, right?
It is accurate that the word black market occurs in this exhibit, in this message from me.
Remember, just a few minutes ago, he said, oh, I had nothing to do with it. No, black market. No. Oh, look at this. Oh, you absolute... GD says, in Texas, we'd say that dog won't hunt. This is so bad.
And then a story aired where Jake Tapper said that the story was about black markets. Isn't that right?
That is also true.
So, in other words, you pitched a story about black markets, right?
We pitched a story that includes the word black market.
So, how would you define the word profiteer as you used it here?
Someone?
Yeah, just like the previous one, they are not used to being called out. They are used to this saying buzzwords, get a pat on the back, and then move along. They are not used to being called out, and it shows. It shows.
Doing something for money.
Are you saying that anyone who is working for money is a profiteer?
I suppose that's one way to define that.
Are you saying that
Oh, you're a communist.
CNN are profiteers?
I wouldn't presume to say that, no.
Well, you say you wouldn't presume to say that, but you also said that a profiteer could be anyone who works for money, right?
Okay.
Well, is that what you said?
I believe it is what I said, yes.
And the employees at CNN work for money, right?
As far as I know, yes.
So your superiors at CNN, by your definition, are profiteers then, right?
If that's how you'd like to define it, sure.
Oh, that wasn't my definition, that was yours, right?
I suppose that's one way to look at it, yes.
So CNN sells ads during its news coverage, right?
The CNN sells ads during its news coverage? Is that what you said? Yes.
That's how CNN, one of the ways CNN makes its money, right?
As I understand, yes.
And that news coverage has at times included the situation in Afghanistan, right?
Correct.
Mr. Phillips, do you see that the document in front of you is a series of messages between you and Alex Marquardt on November 1st, 2021?
I do.
Do you see where Alex writes at the top, hey, what's the email for the library to find people? Thanks.
I do.
And he writes, or I'm sorry, then you write, yo, not sure to be honest. And then Alex writes, not much help then, are you?
Correct.
What library was Alex referring to here?
I think he's referring to the CNN library. There's an editorial research library that can help pull news articles, public records, that sort of material for us.
And what did Alex mean by not much help then, are you?
I don't know, you'd have to ask him.
What was your understanding of what he meant by that?
I don't really remember this exchange, but looking at it, he'd asked me for an email, and I said, I'm not sure what it is. And he says, well, you're not much help, are you?
Is your understanding that he was being serious or facetious with that comment?
No, I think we're kind of bantering on this. He's being facetious.
Do you see where you write, I can help you for 10K, and then Alex writes, how much for 4-month visa?
I see those lines, yes.
Are you and Alex joking about the Young story here?
Possibly.
Did you find the situation underlying the Young story funny?
No, I didn't find the situation underlying the Young story funny.
Do you see where Alex writes below that, look at you, awesome, thanks. We gonna nail this Zachary Young M-fucker.
Yes, I see those words.
Is an M-fucker a motherfucker?
I would presume so.
In your experience, do CNN employees often refer to the subjects of stories using words like motherfucker?
No.
Outside of this instance, do you recall another conversation where someone referred to the subject of a story as a motherfucker?
I can't think of a specific example off the top of my head.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is evidence in that they were targeting Zachary Young specifically. That is what he doesn't realize. He tries to save his company's face here. Oh no, we never call people MFers. Well, then this is the one person you do that, and isn't that evidence that you are targeting this specific individual? I mean, oh.
Have you ever referred to the subject of the story as a motherfucker?
I don't know. Nothing that comes to mind.
Do you think that's an appropriate way to refer to the subject of a story?
Well, of course not. In print, this is a private conversation that I'm having here, in which we're joking with each other.
What did you understand Alex to mean when he said, we gonna nail this Zachary Young motherfucker?
I took him to mean that he's going to do his diligence as a reporter and find the facts.
Did you agree that you were gonna nail Mr. Young?
No, I didn't agree to that.
Is this typical of the way he talks about the subjects of stories?
No, nothing's typical. Not really a typical.
With respect to other stories, has he spoken this way about the subject of another story?
Not that I'm aware of, not with me, but none that I can remember.
Is there ever a situation where saying you're going to nail someone and calling them a motherfucker could be positive?
I don't know.
Do you see where you say under that message, gonna hold you to that one cowboy?
Yes.
What do you mean by gonna hold you to that one?
Again, I don't remember this message, so it's hard to speculate on what my frame of mind was at the time. Sitting here now, I think I mean that I'm going to hold him up to the standard of doing responsible, diligent reporting.
So you meant that you were going to hold Mr. Marquardt to the standard of doing diligent and responsible reporting. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Were you going to hold Marquardt up to nailing Mr. Young?
No, I was going to hold him to a standard of doing accurate, diligent reporting to understand the facts that existed on the ground at the time.
But this sentence is in response to Mr. Marquardt saying, "We're gonna nail the Zachary Young fucker," isn't that right?
I am responding to that message. That's correct.
Yeah, just look at that. We're going to, Mr. Marquardt, we're going to nail this MFer. And he says, gonna hold you to that one, cowboy. Yeah, you are actively encouraging Alex Marquardt to specifically target Mr. Young.
So are you saying you're going to hold Mr. Marquardt to nailing Mr. Young?
No, I think again, as I've testified, this is banter. We're joking, and what I imagine I was thinking at the time was that I'm going to hold him, as I've said, to a standard of doing diligent, accurate, factual reporting to understand the situation on the ground in Afghanistan at the time.
Were you encouraging Mr. Marquardt to nail Zachary Young?
That's not how we would read this sitting here now.
You used the word cowboy here. What did you mean by that?
I don't know. I sometimes use, and we're joking here, I sometimes use nicknames with reporters that I'm working with in just kind of friendly banter. What's up, cowboy? That kind of thing.
So it's a friendly.
Yes.
Did you have a problem with Alex Marquardt nailing Mr. Young?
I don't know.
Is a cowboy someone who doesn't follow the rules?
No idea.
Do you call other coworkers cowboy?
Not that I can specifically recall right now.
I'd like to introduce the documents date stamped CNN 683 to 685, and could we please mark those Phillips Exhibit 8? Do you see that this is a series of messages between yourself and Tom Lumley?
I do.
Towards the bottom of the page, Tom writes, "It's not clear to me if everyone is being ripped off or if some people pay up and get out." And that's pretty crucial. So looking forward to being provided with the answer. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I see that now.
Is it your understanding that this is the fundamental question that Tom was referring to earlier in this chain?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Tom what he was referring to there.
Well, he said this is a pretty crucial question, right?
Where does he say that?
He says it's not clear to me if everyone is being ripped off or if some
Oh,
people-
I'm sorry. Yes, right beneath it. It's a pretty and that's pretty crucial. Yes.
Did you agree that was an important question?
Hypothetically, yes. I think I am saying that that's an important thing to try to address.
Why is that?
Again, CNN is not used to having cases go beyond discovery. And once you get, because this is rare that a case like this goes beyond discovery. And so these text messages and emails were never supposed to be public. But now they are. And now we know this is how they conduct their business. This is it. And when they are confronted with it, they don't know what to do because they don't get into the situation where, for instance, had this ended before discovery, they would have been all up in arms. Yes, we are so good. Yes, we are this and that. And maybe in another jurisdiction, it would have. But not here. Not with this judge, not in this jurisdiction. And they are revealed as absolute fucktwats. Oh, sorry. I meant 4 quads. Or more quads, as in this case.
It's an important piece of the story to at least address.
Do you see where you write under that, right, totally unclear if anyone paid and didn't get out?
I do see that.
If CNN reports something not knowing whether or not it's true, is that a problem?
If CNN reports something as fact and does not know it to be a fact, is that a problem, hypothetically speaking?
Yes.
Yes.
In your experience, does the choice of words in a story potentially impact how the story is perceived by viewers?
Yes, that's a fair statement.
Do you think that viewers could interpret the phrase black market as meaning that Mr. Young was doing something illegal?
Could viewers interpret it
Yes.
as something illegal?
Yes.
I suppose that's possible.
All right. What's next witness?
Your Honor, plaintiff is called Virginia Mosley.
And here's the next one. Virginia Mosley. Let's see.
All right, members
How
of the jury,
she can.
the sworn testimony of Virginia Mosley given before trial will now be presented. You are to consider and weigh this testimony as you would any other evidence in this case.
You're under oath to spell it.
I do.
Okay, can you state your name and spell it for the
Oh,
record?
this is so good.
Virginia Mosley, Virginia Mosley.
Thank you. And this question always causes me some discomfort given the way my mother raised me, but can you state your date of birth for the record?
October 4th, 1961.
How did you prepare for this deposition?
I met with the CNN counsel
And how long was that for?
several hours.
When did you start at CNN?
It approximately 10 years ago.
Okay. And what is your What is your current title?
I'm the Executive Vice President of Editorial for CNN.
What is like your responsibilities, if you were to describe your job responsibilities as the Executive Vice President of Editorial?
My responsibilities include managing all of domestic and Washington news gathering, international editorial for all of our platforms, including digital.
In late 2021, around the time the story at issue aired, who did you report to?
I believe I reported to Jeff Zucker. I believe he was.
To Jeff Zucker?
Mm-hmm.
What was his title?
President of CNN.
The videographer asked me to identify it as an email. It's an email chain involving Ms. Mosley and Mr. Markard. Ms. Mosley, do you want to take a second to read this email chain?
Got it.
Do you see that the title of the subject rather of the email is Repitch Afghanistan Evacuation Price Gouging?
I do.
Okay, so first of all, the subject here is called Enterprise Update for 11 a.m. Do you see that?
I do.
And I guess what does enterprise mean?
Enterprise means things that are not breaking news. That broadly.
So it says pitches for consideration, extortion of desperate Afghans. Do you see that?
I have not
Yes.
heard if Jake Tapper has said
So
anything
the very first sentence, it
about
says
this
there is a
news.
growing market to evacuate desperate Afghans who are willing to pay. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this story started off as a story about Afghans with money that were willing to pay to get themselves out of Afghanistan. Is that fair?
And I don't know.
That's what the pitch says, right?
And I wasn't involved, so I don't know the details.
Do you see that the description here, it says, we would interview an Afghan in the US trying to get his family out, talk to others who are also trying to leave/work the shadowy black market?
Do I see it?
Yes.
I do.
What does black market mean to you?
Here we go again.
It means unregulated.
It is so obvious they were trained to give that answer. It's so obvious.
You earlier asked you what black market meant, and you said unregulated market. Do you recall that?
I do.
Where did you obtain that definition?
It's my understanding.
Based on what?
What I know.
Have you ever looked up the term black market in a dictionary?
I have not.
Would it surprise you to find out that there isn't a single dictionary that defined black market to include an unregulated market?
I would be surprised.
If no dictionary includes...
That is a person lying. I'm very certain that she's actually lying here.
the definition of black market to be an unregulated market, would you then concede it is not proper definition?
I would not.
She would actually say all the dictionaries are wrong. She is that narcissistic that in the face of her between her definition or her proposed definition and the dictionary definitions, all the dictionary definitions, she would say all the dictionaries are wrong. Oh God.
Meaning you'd still maintain that it means unregulated.
I would.
That is so
Supposedly,
stupid.
the evacuation of Afghanistan refugees from Afghanistan. That's black market?
I don't know.
Mr. Young, the plaintiff in this case, was he operating on a black market?
I don't know.
Well, what do you mean you don't know? If you're so certain that black market means unregulated, then what's the harm in saying he did operate on a black market? She knows. It's so obvious that she knows.
Ms. Mosley, do you recall we looked at Exhibit 2 to your deposition? I'll pull it back up. It was CNN 355. I'm going to share it with you. You see it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry.
Okay. And this email you received before the video aired and before the digital piece aired, correct?
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, you're talking about a pitch for the story, so isn't it safe to say you received this before the
Yes.
story?
Yes, it is safe to say that.
Okay. And in this pitch, CNN, the pitch uses the term black market. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to start playing this in 1.25.
Why did you not stop people and say, how do we know whether or not this is a black market?
That's not my job. My job is I have a million other things going on, and I'm confident that there is a process in place that will. I'm not looking at those pitches for that kind of detail because I know there's a process in place that that pitch will have to go through.
And what is that process?
It will get reported out. It will get vetted out. It will get edited. It will get placed on a platform.
And why does that process of editing and putting it on a platform make you feel comfortable that it would be done properly?
I have tremendous confidence in that process.
Then why are you not comfortable telling me that Mr. Young operated on the black market?
And I don't have the context and wasn't involved.
That you've subsequently read the story and seen the video, have you not?
I have.
And so now with that context, is it appropriate to use the term black market?
Yes, because technically it can be unregulated. And Afghanistan was incredibly chaotic.
But here's the thing. Mr. Young, operating his company out of Florida, has to oblige by U.S. laws. Just because Afghanistan at the time was gray market or unregulated doesn't mean he is working unregulated. Don't you vet anything, you absolute hack?
And I was, so technically, yes.
Do you believe the term black market has a negative connotation?
I believe it means chaotic and unregulated, and so that's what it means to me. I don't associate a connotation with those two things.
How would you find out whether or not the script survived triage review?
It wouldn't air if it didn't.
Is it usual for triad to review things last minute like this?
No.
Okay. You were not at all involved in the decision to make that retraction.
I was not.
Have you seen the retraction video?
Yesterday.
Okay. Do you agree with the statements in the retraction video?
Again, I can't remember every word of it, but in general, I don't.
So it starts here.
And they keep burying themselves. Here, their legal department believed they all fucked up royally. So out they went with this apology. But now in the setting of this trial, which has moved forward to trial, it's not in their interest, CNN as a company, it wasn't in their interest to admit to the legal department's opinion that they needed a retraction. And oh boy, it came back to bite them. Oh boy, it came back to bite them. Oh. Yes.
And before we go, a correction.
So as the reason I don't agree with it is I don't have, as we talked about earlier, the negative connotation of black market. So I'm not exactly sure. I wouldn't, I wouldn't. I don't consider black market in a negative connotation, so I wouldn't agree with the correction.
So you believe the term black market is neutral in terms of negative versus positive?
I believe it is explanatory, not it is an explanation of a situation, not a positive or negative.
And therefore, no need to correct and no need to apologize.
Correct.
Your Honor, the next video is 20 minutes, and that would take us just past.
Well, that was a short deposition. Didn't need to be more. Here's Malin again. Sorry, I have to do this in Swedish. She says, black market has always meant something illegal. We learned in first grade. Yeah, we did. We all did. So CNN, their claims, they're just false. Obviously false. And also shows you not only are they prepared to lie in their reporting, they are prepared to lie under oath.
10:15.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Y'all doing all right? All right, let's roll with the next one.
All right. Plaintiff's called Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper?
All right, members of the jury,
No,
the
Tapper.
sworn testimony
Oh.
of Jake Tapper given before trial will now be presented. You are to consider and
We
weigh
were
this
talking
testimony
about
as
this
you would
earlier.
any other evidence in this
Here's
case.
Mr. Tapper.
Good morning, Mr. Tapper. Can I ask you to please state your name and date of birth for the record?
My full name is Jacob Paul Tapper. I was born on March 12th, 1969.
You understand that you're under oath today, Mr. Tapper?
I do.
And did you prepare for this deposition at all?
Briefly, yes.
How did you prepare?
I had a Zoom call with Chuck and another lawyer yesterday just to go over. We had a brief discussion yesterday about what I should expect at this.
Can I, so you understand where I'm going, I want to shift topics a little bit just to get a high level background on you. So did you go to college or university?
I did.
And did you graduate?
I did.
What year and where and
Thank you,
what did you
Sherry.
graduate?
Thank you for subscribing.
I graduated from Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire in 1991.
And with a degree in?
It was history modified with visual studies, is what it was called at the time. Visual studies is now called studio art.
Did you continue your education past that, or did you enter the workforce?
I did one semester of graduate film school at the University of Southern California. I finished that semester, and then I entered the workforce.
Was the film school specifically connected to journalism in any way, or was it just film school?
No, I was interested in film production. It was just film school. It was not related to journalism.
Where are you currently employed?
CNN?
And how long have you...
I am so cutting this out as a separate video. For you who don't know, Jake Tapper is lead Washington. He's a lead anchor for CNN Washington. He co-hosts State of the Union. He has the lead with Jake Tapper. Yeah, this guy is a big deal in CNN.
is your title at CNN?
I think it's Chief Washington Anchor
Chief
and
Washington Anchor.
Senior Washington Correspondent. But I don't pay a tremendous amount of attention to titles. But I think that's what it is. I am the anchor of several shows on CNN. Yeah.
Mr. Chapper, can you
Going down
give
to
an
normal
overview
speed
of
also.
viewership numbers for your show? The lead, let's start with.
I cannot.
You have no idea how many people watch the lead on an average basis?
I do not pay attention to ratings.
No, oh, he's good. Oh, this is wordplay. This is wordplay. Does he pay attention to the actual ratings? No. Is he being told if they are good or bad? So this is okay. Here we are at another level of wordplay. Now we need to pay attention here.
Yes, maybe use the word ratings differently than I'm not really looking for. Well, what do you mean by ratings?
There is a metric called the Nielsen ratings, which is a survey of television households. And that Nielsen rating is how advertisers and shows and television networks determine how many people are watching the show at any given moment. And I do not pay attention to the Nielsen ratings. So, yeah.
I have, do you recall maybe 2 weeks or so you gave a speech at the Ford School of Public Policy?
I did that in October or November of 2023.
Touches on something there. So I'm gonna introduce into the exhibit that video as exhibit 1. We'll mark it. I'm just gonna share. Sorry, I'm trying to. There we go. All right, Mr. Tapper, I'm going to share with you now a video recording of your presentation at the Ford School of Public Policy, and I'm starting from 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Okay. Just before this is trial coverage. This is entered as an exhibit in a trial. This, in my opinion, is way into the fair use segment. This is fair use, in my opinion. Now, fair use is determined by a court of law, not by us or me personally, but in my opinion, showing this segment as a trial exhibit goes directly under educational and entertainment. And my commentary provides the thing needed for it to a court of law to rule in my favor, in my opinion. So do not strike me,
And here we go.
And I think the question is, if all you care about is clicks and newsstand sales and circulation, and you don't care at all about the truth and the facts, you end up with a settlement with Dominion election system, right? So, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, he's referring to what happened with the Dominion voting machines, which many people had to settle with. Yeah. And how about that? CNN settled in this trial. We know that now, but Mr. Tapper did not know this when he was deposed.
There's nothing wrong with wanting people to read your newspaper, wanting people to watch your show, but if all you care about is that, and you don't care about the responsibility, the grave responsibility we have to be fair and to be honest, then you are a cancer on the democracy we have, which is, I think, what you see when you have when you have what we have.
Were you able to hear that, Mr. Tapper?
I was.
Do you still agree with your previous statements?
Yes.
I want to push back on that, Mr. Tapper, because I'm just talking here about whether or not a news organization that tells willful lies is a cancer on society. Can you answer that question?
I mean, you can think whatever you want.
Ask for your testimony, Mr. Tapper.
I answered your question. I made a statement about the non-hypothetical, months-long campaign against Dominion voting, against Smartmatic, against all the people that participated in the process in 2020. It was a months-long campaign that was undermining democracy for the benefit of one particular political leader. And that comment I made, and I stand by it, but I don't have answers to extend the metaphor to every single person, organization, and situation in journalism. So
Why not, Mr. Tapper? Why would you not extend that to this? Because it's still lying in a segment about a person who lost his livelihood. You ruined him, CNN. Ruined him. And by proxy, probably ended the lives of countless Afghans who couldn't be saved by Mr. Zachary Young and others who operated like him legally.
I just don't even know what you want me to say here.
You and your counsel claimed you answered the question, but I don't think you did. The question was straightforward, and it was, does a media organization that tells willful lies that's not about an election, is that a cancer on society? Let me say it cleanly. Is a media organization that publishes willful lies about things other than an election a cancer on society?
You're asking me to comport with a metaphor that I used a year ago, but specifically about one specific news or purported news organization and the opinion I had about how damaging those lies were to the American democracy. And you're asking me to take that metaphor and extend it to any other time that any other media organization lied willingly. And I just don't have an opinion on it. I haven't thought about it. I haven't contemplated it. I haven't been marinating over it.
Suit you?
So I don't have an opinion to offer.
Mr. Tapper, do advertisements air during the Lead with Jake Tapper?
Yes.
Do you know what it costs to place an ad on the Lead with Jake Tapper?
I have no idea of any details about the advertisements that air on the Lead other than they air on the Lead. When I'm in the studio, I do not see them, and I have no idea what they are.
So would a crude analogy be for this is almost like you're a movie star that's recruited to go on a movie, you do your job, and you kind of the production facility here, CNN, takes care of all the back end work and everything like that. You show up, you do your job.
No, because I am intimately involved in the editorial content of the show. So no.
Does the Lead have a budget?
I assume so, but I don't know what it is.
Do you have any idea of how that budget is determined?
None.
What if you want to fly to Tokyo to interview somebody? How does that process get approved?
Generally speaking, do you want me to give you an example of something that's not hypothetical?
Sure.
So for instance, when I went to Israel last October or November in there, the horrible attacks happened. I don't remember if CNN management asked me or I asked CNN management, but Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett were there very quickly, and I made it clear that I would like to go whenever there was an opening for another anchor to go. And I told my executive producer, and I told the executives that would be in charge of such a thing. But beyond that, I'm not involved in figuring out where the money comes from, figuring out who pays for it, figuring out who comes with me, how it works. CNN is a big news organization in terms of personnel and global reach. So when I arrive, there is a functioning newsroom in Tel Aviv, and I go and I do my job and I focus on the editorial content of my show and the reporting that we are providing for CNN and CNN International. But I am not paying any attention at all to how any of that is happening. Just like I'm not paying any attention, for example, when I went to the site of the former Nova Music Festival, the massacre that took place there, I'm also going there. I say I want to go there.
So in other words, you profit out of misery, which was what CNN claimed Zachary Young did was so bad doing. Isn't that strange? When you do it, it's good. Profiting from misery. When Zachary Young actually saves lives, it's bad.
Can we go there with some survivors? And obviously we need security. That's my request. But I am not in charge of any of the how do we do it. Other people do that.
Are you ever denied a request because it would be too expensive?
I'm sure it's happened. I cannot think of an example, but I'm sure it's happened.
Generally,
But I also have a rough idea of what is a reasonable request. So I'm not making requests. So, hey, it'd be great to do a special on the beaches of the French Riviera. I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm pretty focused on the news. Every now and then there will be a shoot, but generally speaking, those are driven by the shows per se, more so than by me. Although it works both ways.
So fair to say you use your requests professionally and appropriately for news items, and when it comes to appropriate news items, CNN pays what it needs to get you where you need to be to do the reporting.
If CNN approves it.
And sitting here today, can you recall a time when they didn't approve a request you made?
There have been times that I wanted to do something, and it might have been that they needed me to be in DC because of anchoring responsibilities. They don't like it when Wolf Blitzer and I are taking vacations at the same time. They like one of us to be around. So I can't recall one from financial reasons, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. I know that it generally does happen that they like me to be in DC during periods where there's a lot of news going on in DC.
You're familiar with the underlying piece that was on your show, the Marquardt segment. Do you know what I'm talking about when I refer to the Marquardt segment?
I remember, because of this lawsuit, I'm aware of it, yes.
How does, so I'm going to refer to that as the segment, okay, that piece with Alexander.
Okay.
How does a segment like that help the success of a show like The Lead?
I cover veterans issues a lot. I cover Afghanistan a lot. Relatively speaking, I should say. And I wrote a book about Afghanistan. I've been to Afghanistan. I did a special about Afghanistan. So it's a story I care deeply about. I don't know that it necessarily actually benefits CNN or The Lead to do international stories. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm at CNN is because CNN covers international news in a way that a lot of news organizations, networks like ABC, NBC, CBS don't do as much. There are charts that I've seen about how much foreign news coverage has dropped off. If in the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, because viewers are not that interested in it, is the presumption I make. I don't know that for a fact, but I assume, because I think of the networks, having worked at ABC, I think of them as more ratings focused than CNN, which I would describe as more news focused. So I don't know that it helps. For all I know, it hurts. I don't know. As a general premise, I think it is. When I worked at ABC News, it was tough to get.
That's a good catch. Allegedly, maybe. She says, I thought he just said he wasn't involved like that. Now it's his choice. Sounds like he knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah, good catch. Good catch.
Unless there was, other than the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War in the early days, etc. Foreign news, it was tough to get those stories on air.
So then, is it fair to say that CNN distinguishes itself from amongst other news organizations by having this international news segment?
I don't know if there is any positive or negative effect of doing story, like in terms of reputation, in terms of ratings, in terms of revenue. I have no idea if there is any impact at all doing international news stories. I have no idea at all. I do them because they're important. I don't do them for the other reasons that I just talked about.
And so my question is this one of the ways CNN distinguishes itself by having an international news silo?
My point of view is that I like working at CNN as a news organization, not as a revenue making organization, but as a news organization. I personally like CNN because we have a commitment to international coverage. That's journalism.
If they cut your salary in half, would you still work for CNN? That's a question. I mean, I'm not doubting he likes working for CNN. He has he is a huge news anchor. He has his own show. He anchors all other shows. But he does this because he gets paid to do it. He makes profit out of this. He makes profit out of misery. Again, so what's the difference? Well, I say what the difference is. Zachary Young actually saved people, while CNN reports on misery. That's the difference.
That's my preference for journalism. That is not, I think it helps our reputation. That is not, I think it raises money. It's none of that. It's just my personal opinion about what I like about it. I also like that we, in my view, aspire to not be liberal like MSNBC or conservative like Fox, but we try to be a news organization, that any political persuasion could watch. That's also something else I like about it.
And how does CNN accomplish that?
We have Democrats on, we have Republicans on, we have liberal commentators on, we have conservative commentators on. If there's a story about a controversial issue, I hope we aspire to cover it in a way that is fair.
Mr. Tapper, do you believe there is a financial benefit to sensationalism in reporting?
It depends.
Can you elaborate, please?
I mean, you have to give me a specific example. Do I think a tabloid sensationalizing a divorce might result in more of that tabloid bought?
Why are you using tabloid as an example? Well, tabloids, we know, are sensationalists. They are all about clickbait. But here we have the Zachary Young segment on CNN. And tabloid, yeah, as a tabloid isn't a news organization. That's just in general term. And if tabloid means clickbaiting, it means embellishing, it means having stories that aren't true. Then I guess the Zachary Young segment made CNN a tabloid, because the segment portrayed Mr. Young more or less as a human trafficker. It was aimed directly at Zachary Young, and it was defamation. We know that now. But even if the jury came back with a non-liable, I would still say, yeah, that is defamation, in my personal opinion. But now a jury agreed with me. So, Mr. Tapper, this false story on Zachary Young, does that make CNN a tabloid?
At a supermarket? Maybe. Sure. Do I think that, I mean, so that's one example, but I don't think every single example of sensationalizing, which, by the way, is very much a subjective term, I don't know that everyone would have necessarily a financial result one way or the other. It's really dependent upon the situation. I'm just trying to answer these questions as honestly as possible.
So you're not aware of a specific number?
I'm not an expert on this sort of thing. I can just tell you the commitment of this organization is to getting facts right.
Mr. Tapper, I'm going to share with you what we'll mark as exhibit, I think it's 3 to the deposition. Do you see the website? It's CNN's Facebook page.
Yes, I see it.
So I'm going to read I'm going to play the video from you, Tapper, Truth Matters, Facts Matter, on CNN's Facebook page from timestamp 124. Apologize for the confusion. I think it'll make more sense now.
A charge that there is literally none of Republicans believe this charge, a charge that there is literally no evidence to support. It is the definition of fake news. Now, look, this is America, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. 18% of the public says they've seen or been in the presence of a ghost. I mean, whatever. But in a thriving democracy, truth matters and facts matter. We learned in the campaign that Donald Trump can be cavalier about facts and truth. We learned in his first 100 days that that's not going to change. Indeed, that some in the government and some of his friends in conservative media will even work to try to make his falsehoods seem true. But you know what? There's also a lot of incendiary nonsense against President Trump on the left these days that is just as fake and just as free of any evidence, both in progressive media and all over Twitter, being retweeted by otherwise sensible folks. This is a time for all journalists to be extra careful about our own reporting, to make sure that we adhere strictly to facts and cogent analysis. And this is a time for you, the public, to demand evidence from your leaders and from your media, even if you already agree with the politics of the person on your TV.
Yeah. So lying about Mr. Young, was that fake news, Mr. Tapper? That's the segment about, yeah. How about that? It's really easy to point fingers at the now number 47 and say, ooh, he produced fake news. Ooh, he had media in his hands. Well, how about Zachary Young? CNN made fake news about Zachary Young. Bad place to be in, isn't it, Mr. Tapper?
Do you recall giving those statements?
Not really. It's 4 years ago.
You know, I don't know what the exact date is. It's posted in 2017, so.
Okay. No, I don't. I mean, I know that's me.
Isn't it remarkable that they never seem to remember what they themselves say? Now, if you ask me about a trial I covered 2 years ago, I might not remember the exact words I said, but if I were shown, hey, look at you here, yeah, I would remember. I mean, how do you not? But apparently not in CNN. All right, folks, we are 1 hour and 47 in. Let's see what goes on here while I do a cut out to, yeah, some of these I believe deserves its own video because a lot of people only watches highlights and they are very, very content with highlights. And yeah, sure, I will provide it to you. I will. I prefer if you watch me live, but if short videos and highlights are the thing you prefer, I'm going to supply that too.
Okay.
Your Honor, we have more, but.
No, I was asking, that was the end of.
That's the end of it, yeah.
All right, why don't we take our break for the morning? Just go ahead and put your notepads in the folders and leave them on your chairs. We're going to take our morning recess. Remember, all the rules I've given you apply even when you're outside the courtroom, such as at recess. Remember the basic rule, do not talk to anyone, including your fellow jurors, friends, family, or coworkers about anything having to do with this trial, except to speak to court staff. This means no emailing, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, or other form of communication. You cannot do any research about the case or look up any information about the case. Remember to observe during our recess the other rules I gave you. If you become aware of any violation of any of these rules at all, please notify court personnel. And when you come back to the courtroom, if you use your phone or electronic device during break, make sure it's turned off before we come back. Why don't we go till be back in the jury lounge at 10:35 and we'll get you back in here. We'll be in recess till then. All right, jurors are out of the courtroom. Y'all be seated. Anything, plaintiff?
Just the motion to compel compliance with the trial subpoenas. And we can do it now, we can go at lunch.
Yeah, I thought we were going to do it at lunch.
Lunch is fine.
All right, anything else on the defense? Mr. Bailey, was that your phone?
Turning in my phone.
Oh, that was your phone, Mr. Sanborn?
Mine. Maybe
I thought it was Mr. Bailey the way you were looking at it. I was going to say it was convenient for
I
Mr.
tried to
Bailey.
blame it on him, but he wouldn't take the bait. Your Honor, maybe there's a $100 fine. I can't be trusted with that. I don't want.
I was going to say, my assistant did send y'all the link to North Florida Legal Services donation website page.
Keep it in, I'll make a donation.
All right, nothing else. We'll be back at 10:35.
Thank you.
Mr. Friedman, how many more videos do you have?
2 more, Your Honor.
All right, is that going to take us till 12, or how long do we get on those? Oh, you got Mr. Lumley
Yeah,
too.
we'll do Mr. Lumley, we'll break it up a little, but maybe we'll do one video, Mr. Lumley, and then a video again. There's a 30, maybe we'll do, there's a 30-minute video. Maybe we'll do that when we get back after the break. Then we'll do Mr. Lumley. And so we get back, what, 30, it'll bring us to 11. A little shy of 12. I don't think, well, they have a redirect, I'm sure. So that should bring us lunch, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Right, sounds good.
All right, folks. It is closing in on 11 p.m. here, and I have work tomorrow. So I'm going to save the rest for tomorrow. Now, as I said in the early part, I am in talks with Mr. Young's defense attorney about an interview. So, Mr. Friedman, if you're watching this, thank you for agreeing to an interview. I hope we can set a day and time soon, because people want to hear you. People want to hear from the man who got Mr. Young a multi-million-dollar settlement. But, yeah, I'm going to save the rest of the depositions until tomorrow. Also tomorrow, might do a bit about the new development in the Delphi case. Yes, the information from the trial and pre-trial are starting to come out. And the defense are moving in with motions. And oh my God, if I tell you the name Brad Weber, you remember me claiming he either lied in his first interviews back in 2017 or he lied in trial. As it turns out, he lied in both. More about that tomorrow. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. And remember, folks, hug your family. Unless your family is crap, then give your love to the people who deserve it. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Against the void, grasp the twisted threads of truth, laughing in the face of chaos, burning knowledge like a ruthless youth. Complex thoughts dance in the fire, cynics grin with a wisecrack's ire, fighting shadows and sharpened wits, baring teeth in a world unfit. Wrath the one with biting tongue, heart and brain a lethal arm, stand unshaken, minds collide, laughing with the storm inside. We're the one with biting charm, heart and brain a lethal arm, stand unshaken, minds collide, laughing with the storm inside. Faces enemies with a yes, every laugh a cutting test, carving paths through blackened skies, inside clear and bloodshot eyes. In the maze of thoughts ensnare, every joke a blade prepared, cuts through lies with humor's flair, unseen wisdom few can bear.